Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 74 of Bits and Pieces, the friendliest cricket podcast. This is a very special episode. 74 games in the recently concluded Indian Premier League and episode number 74. You know what it feels like? It feels like the end of a never ending war. It went on for 65 days. The IPL began on 25th March. It ended just last week, and we are still recovering. And here we are in this podcast, the five survivors after the greatest war that has ever been fought. Coincidentally, also, there were five survivors at the end of the Mahabharat when the Kurukshetra wars was done. And so here we are, starting with, of course, the grand guru, the person who said from the beginning, do not do this. This is a waste of time. Everybody will die. And nobody listened to him. Welcome to the Kripacharya of today's podcast. Mohan, welcome back.
Oh my God. Where have you gone with this? Where are you going with this? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, PGK.
How are you feeling? How does it feel at the end of the war?
I feel really relieved. I feel refreshed. I feel reset and really looking forward to cricket finally.
Okay. Like I said, there were five survivors. Now, everyone say hello to the second survivor of the Mahabharat, Ashwathama. Now, I went back and read about Ashwathama. So, Ashwathama, according to the Mahabharat, essentially gets his name because of a sacred voice that he has when he was born. It's such a mellifluous voice, and he uses that voice all the time in all of his podcasts. Everybody say hello to Abhishek Chopra. How are you, Abhishek?
Hello. Thank you. It's so good to be back after IPL has ended. I made the mistake of joining the pod during the IPL for one episode and never again.
Hold on that thought. Survivor number three at the end of the Mahabharat is Satyaki. So Satyaki is a very interesting minor character in the Mahabharat. And again, I had to go up and read up a little bit about Satyaki. He provides one Akshauni, which is seen as a legion to the Pandavas. And according to Bhishma, he can beat 12 Athirathis alone, which means that you can call him a Yodha. We don't have a Yodha here, but we have a Lodha. Say hello.
Totally random. Oh my God.
Too good.
Thanks. Too good. Thanks, PGK.
All right. That was
I'm
Sandeep.
waiting for other introduction.
Oh, there's just two more to go. Fourth survivor at the end of the Kurukshetra was Kritavarma. Kritavarma was also one of the Yadavas. Just like Satyaki fought on the side of the Pandavas, Kritavarma fought on the side of the Kauravas. So as a Maharathi, he was placed at the head of the flying heron formation. Don't ask me what this means. This is just what I read. And apparently this was set up by Bhishma, and he engaged in a number of conflicts during the war. He fought against Bhim, he fought against Arjun, he fought against Yudhishthira. But his most famous battle, which has not been documented, was against Robin Uthappa. Say hello.
Hello. Nice to be back.
And finally, the last survivor of the Mahabharat is me, Yuyutsu. Yuyutsu is celebrated as a moral warrior because he was one of the Kauravas who switched sides and went to the Pandavas. And if you basically go back, Yuyutsu is celebrated as a moral warrior who chose the path of righteousness despite being in circumstances that would put him in evil, which is why I support RR and not RCB. Welcome, everybody.
This is amazing, PGK. But two doubts have come suddenly. Okay, I have to ask them.
Yes, of course.
One is, what is this Amit pronunciation with Yudhishthir, Bhim, and Arjun and all that sort of stuff?
So what should I say?
Right? I'll let you answer that. The second thing is, Choppy was a last-minute addition. Where would you have gone with this Pandav theme if Choppy didn't make it?
Please, a magician never reveals his tricks. Or I would have just picked someone and said something. It's okay.
Amazing.
How was it? How was it, everyone? How was it? The war is over. The battle is done. The five survivors are here. How was the IPL?
I just want to say Tony can retire now after his introduction.
That was quite amazing. That was quite amazing. Look, it was easy for me to survive. Let me go first. It was really easy for me to survive that because I ignored the whole thing. And the only connection that I had, honestly, the only connection I had with the IPL was through our WhatsApp group, which was buzzing almost every day, 300 unread messages, 400 unread messages. And some nights I knew that there was a fight that had happened because 600 unread messages. So, and luckily we have Mayur in the group that would put a summary of all the messages in between two summaries. And I just catch up on that. And that's how I survived. That's my story.
But you did watch the final, right?
I did watch the final. I did watch the
Yeah.
final.
Oh,
I
great.
did.
You slipped up there.
Nice.
No, yeah, one game. I give one game. But yeah, it was. I guess I think it was a good final. But I'm really unsure about the IPL. So I'm not sure, whether it was drama WWE style or whether it was an actual game. But I did watch the final.
Speaking of WWE, my biggest grouse with IPL is that there was not one super over this season. This is not done, Sandy G. I would want you to take your script and like tear it apart or at least do a better job of it next year.
Hang on, when you said biggest gripe, how many such gripes are there? How big is this page?
We'll get to it. We have an hour to go, so we'll get there.
What about you, Sandy Chopra? What did you think of the IPL? Overall thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing that I did during the IPL was come home from work, switch on the TV and send a message on the group that I'm watching. And then I would like try to watch it and then wasn't able to make sense of it. And I think half an hour later, 45 minutes later, I'll switch it off. So yeah, I mean, I feel nice about the fact that the IPL exists and so many players on the fringe get their go, but I really can't make sense of it. And I remember that one episode which I was mentioning earlier. I joined that, and then there was a phase in between when Samir Mohan and Varun Murli were discussing scenario upon scenario, like some cat problem which used to have, if this team qualifies but that team doesn't, then net run rate happens and Mahabharat happens again and stuff like that, and I just couldn't make sense of it at all. So yeah, glad it's over and glad Test cricket is back again.
So I think that between IPLs, Samir Mohan creates all these scenarios for RCB and then he reruns them during every season of IPL.
Yeah.
But the result is the same.
Yeah.
How many scenarios he runs?
That's because the scenarios are the same. What do you expect outcome also be same? Every year it's the same scenario, same outcome.
Yeah.
And I think
for me,
Faf du Plessis put it best. He came, gave Bhavishyavani, is sala cup nahi, khatam. Just stopped after that.
I like how you're continuing the Mahabharat theme, but okay, good. So I think for me, quite honestly, every year during the IPL, I feel guilty because it's a little bit like that addiction where I see it, I watch it, and I don't want to. I know this is pajama cricket. It's not what I should enjoy, but I still watch it. I still enjoy it a little bit. And I have to concede that this year's IPL was actually pretty good.
Was it?
It was pretty good. I think as compared to previous years where by the time it's in the middle, 70%, 80%, you really don't really care. The rest of the matches are all a dead rubber. Usually it's RCB involved. They're basically like going from city to city, just given up completely. But their fans are there. The fans will still faithfully follow them. And then people like Samir, of course, are sitting and doing calculations and the team has given up. But I think this time it just, until the last match, you didn't really know who was going to qualify. I don't think there was a single dead rubber. I think the playoffs were both interesting. I think the final was, excellent, apart from the rain at least. And there is a great poetry to the whole thing. And there is a great drama to Dhoni coming in. And I think the impact player also is a very interesting, innovation. I don't know where it's going to go, but I feel like overall, if you look at just this aspect, I shouldn't like it, but I felt like it was a good IPL. At least it is a very enjoyable IPL. And yeah.
PGK, you don't need to feel guilty for liking it and all that. So
Yeah.
Just because Hank is here, you don't have to feel guilty. It's okay. It's all good.
No. And I also think that the fact that there are so many Indian players who came in, which was quite incredible to watch. Like Jaiswal, we just saw him come in. We saw Rinku Singh. And the stars of the tournament were all Indian players, more or less. And Shivam Dubey. And of course, even Shubman Gill, whom until last season, everyone had thought, this guy is probably going to play tests. going in the Pujara Rahane direction. Rahane, of course, that's a different story in itself. But now you are pretty clear that, like the king is here, but the prince is here too. So I think some of these things are going to be very, very memorable.
And the guy that hit 96 or something in the final, the left-hand guy.
Sai Sudarshan.
Sai Sudarshan.
Yeah,
That
so
guy.
Sai Sudarshan.
There were so
Yeah.
many
PGK,
people that
any
came in.
good bowlers, Indian bowlers who came through, according to you? And
I think
Bissi,
I think
Sandy?
Sandeep Sharma, of course, for me. Despite the fact that was he the one who did the no ball? He may have.
Yeah,
done-
yeah,
no,
yeah.
he was the one who did the ball. But despite that, I think a few games before that against Chennai, he held his nerve right at the very end and did a great job. So I think Sandeep Sharma was quite solid. I'm thinking of others.
Akash Madhwal.
Yeah, Madhwal was good.
Yes, correct. Even Suyash KKR, not bad.
Yeah.
I think there are some interesting.
Oh, he's
bowlers
the
coming
leggy,
through as
Narendra
well.
Hirwani leggy. Yeah.
Correct, with the long hair.
But I think Sandeep Sharma is at the fag end of his domestic career. I don't think he plays Ranji, hardly plays. I think he turns up for S-Mac. And yeah, he's on the wrong side of the age barrier.
And to me, I mean, far be it for me to criticize the IPL. but the thing is that's the main thing. And there was an episode last year's IPL, when I wandered in and people were talking about great bowlers coming in, being new person being developed every day, every week, new scouts going out there and investigating people. And suddenly someone was injured for the T20 World Cup and the replacement was Shami. And I said, what the hell? I mean, you're talking about players coming out of the woodwork every second, and suddenly a replacement is, a 34-year-old Shami.
No, but that's Hank. That's not the player's fault. I think the selection is down in the dumps as far as T20 is concerned. You effectively every single year after IPL you discover some new stars, as PGK mentioned, more batters than bowlers perhaps. But the Indian team remains the same. I mean, you can play 5 World Cups in a year, T20 World Cups.
So you put it down to the fact that the selectors are not willing to bet on these young people coming
I
through.
would tend to think so. I mean, the team hasn't changed from one World Cup to another. And
Understand. Wasn't it Nitin that wrote an article that said 8 people from the previous T20 World Cup?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Mhm.
not
in
like
this
that.
world.
It's a money control thing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
The money
nice
is
one.
controlled by the same set of players.
But I feel like it feels like it's almost inevitable now. I don't see them persisting with the same team in the next year's World Cup.
I hope so.
I really don't. I mean, maybe Kohli. I don't think the others. I really don't see that happening. I think
And
the
I
pressure
think
is now
with-
too high.
And Hardik will be at the helm of things for T20 at least. So
Correct.
I hope that he at least takes his template from GT to the national side as well, because
Yeah.
it's
seems
a,
to-
it's a
He seems
Sorry,
to
go
be very animated during the huddle, right? I mean, I just saw that one clip, when the rain started or ended in the final, and he was like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems very.
Did you
odd.
see the parodies of it? The parodies of it.
Yeah,
because a
yeah.
lot of
They
people.
were
are
Oh, there's
doing
one on the
voiceovers.
group. One on the
Oh,
group
yeah,
that
yeah,
was hilarious.
Yeah. Does anyone want to recount, remember anything? It's just it's a voiceover of something on top of it, where it's like where Hardik is screaming and there's someone putting some voiceover.
I think
or
it
something.
was the Nana Patekar dialogue
Yeah,
from Krantivir, if I'm not
Krantivir.
wrong.
Right.
Sandy
That's
ji?
correct. That's the one.
Yeah, it was.
It'd be
It
good,
was
it'd be
him
good to link,
saying,
it'd be
"Kya
good to link
tamasha
some of those
dekhne aa gaye ho?"
in the show notes, guys.
Yeah.
Very good.
It was Nana
I think
Patekar
another
saying,
reason.
क्या तमाशा देखने आ गए हो मेरा घर जाओ अपने. It was funny.
Of course, and something that we are not all saying, but we all know is true, that another reason why IPL 2023 was extremely satisfying was because it went completely against everything that Tony Sebastian wanted. It's like an IPL that has been created to crush his soul.
I think
First, RR start, and they do a great start at the beginning. Samson has a great start at the beginning, then completely tails off. Number one. Number two, after some time, RCB start to pick up, and then Tony is starting to lose it. Then Chennai start to come in, and then eventually Chennai win the final damn thing. Dhoni is now celebrated like crazy, and a New Zealand player ends up becoming the man of the match.
Man
If
of the
you
match.
cannot have a script designed, it's like Jay Shah is sitting somewhere and saying, "What do we do to make Tony Sebastian really furious?"
Wow.
ऐसे करते. This is the script. करो. Okay.
but I think immediately after the IPL there is suddenly nothing to do at 7:30 p.m. India time. Uh, like 30th, 31st, there was nothing to do, and that kind of, you know,
Emptiness.
Sandy ji,
empty.
Sandy ji,
Yeah.
this is the fear I have. If you have this feeling and
Yeah.
Jesa has the same feeling, they're very, very different. You'll cope with it. That guy won't.
I coped with it by searching for Dhoni's best decisions on field or Dhoni's innings. I was sharing it on the group also.
Correct. That's what most people will do. This guy will
Close-up
make
of
it 12
Dhoni's
teams
knee.
and 14 teams and 16 teams.
I must have seen like videos of that stumping reaction, like that reaction time 0.1.
Yeah.
Like there are so many of it, like with like firecrackers coming, with like some new graphics coming in. Look at the response time. Look at his glove. His glove is here, this many centimeter. Look how line, latitude, longitude. So it's just so much analysis done.
And him hugging Ravindra Jadeja, burying the hatchet as it were, and that being celebrated was quite amazing.
Well,
I wanted
there was some
to
talk. There was let me just buy in on that, right? There was some talk about them having an issue, and so on. I'm not sure. I mean, a lot of that is really media stuff. I think media beating up stuff that probably even doesn't exist, right? So yeah, there when you play for 20, 25 years, there are going to be some disagreements and so on. But ultimately, they're all professionals. They all go rock up to play and do the good thing. I don't think there's anything. I didn't see anything at least in that game that suggests some sort of a friction.
That is the media like making a big hoo-ha out of it, and more closer home in our WhatsApp group, Varun Murli drumming it up unnecessarily at the start of the season, and then conveniently forgetting it by the end of the season. He's like, "Oh, what did I say? Where did this happen? Jadeja and Dhoni are best friends forever."
Just because you have a mic, you can slag off anyone, is it?
No, I will.
But
otherwise, if they should have come on the podcast to defend themselves.
Yes, exactly.
The
But
survival of
something
Mahabharata
did
to
happen.
increase to number 6.
Yeah, I don't have a 6 survivor. It may not have worked.
But made up one. Nobody's going to fact check you, PT Kids. It's all good.
Oh, I think there are people on
editor's
this
note.
thread.
Editor's note is a real thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Nitin Sundar.
It is like talking about IPL 2015, some stat no one will ever check and discuss that. But I think Hank, to your note, I think Jadeja in one of the post-match interviews said that if I come to bat, people wait for me to get out. When I get out, people start clapping, etc. And then I don't know why he did that. Next week, he posted something on Instagram saying that, karma is there to get you or something like that. And his wife reposted it saying that, please beware, something. I don't remember exactly, but I don't know what happened during that period.
That could just be about the BJP, Ra.
Yeah, but I do agree with Sandy. I mean, you did get a sense. You're right that a lot of this is hyped by the media, and there is, of course, a certain amount of a fan expectation that because you're part of one team, everybody should get along together. Everybody should be best friends. Everybody should like eat together, sleep together, train together, and just be like completely tight. And that's not how it works. I think the Indian cricket team has also become much more mature over the last few years, that I'm sure even in the national team, there are many people who just don't get along with each other. And the ones who are friends. But they're just perfectly professional on the field, and you can see them celebrating everything. I think this part is true, that there is a certain amount of frustration that Jadeja he expressed a couple of times mildly, that whenever, exactly what Sandy said, that whenever I come on to bat, people are just cheering and waiting for me to get out so that the next person can come in, which is Dhoni. But it's Chennai, it's Tamil Nadu. What do you expect? I mean, if it's not hero worship, that hero worship runs in that state for the last 70 years. So what do you expect? It's gonna happen.
But this is sorry.
No,
sorry,
and
Sandy.
and also just one small thing, that if an episode like that happens where one player who is also an India regular, big star, etc., becomes captain at the start of the season, and then things don't go his way, and then the team management decides to change it back to the other guy who's been doing it for so many years, and then there is success at the end of the tournament. I mean, it's only human to feel some pang of, I don't know, frustration, jealousy, envy, whatever you want to call it. So it's only human. And I mean, credit to Jadeja that he came to play for Chennai again and did well for them.
My seasons are running into each other. Was it last year that he was captain at the start and then they changed, or was it this year?
Yes.
Last
Last
year.
year.
Oh, okay.
Last.
For a minute, I thought, what? Am I stuck in some sort of Groundhog Day moment?
And Dhoni doesn't want that to happen again next year, so he's gone and surgically repaired his knee. He's undergoing rehab already right now because he knows if this franchise has to continue for another year, he has to turn up. There is
No,
no
but
other
there,
captain around.
I think their Vamu's theory is amazing. I mean, I'm still thinking about it. He said Rohit is going to be the next CSK captain, which is going to be bonkers. I mean, if that happens, it's going to be truly crazy.
See, this year they introduced the impact sub rule. Next year they'll introduce a rule that says you're a wicket keeper. We'll give you a chair. You can sit there and keep wickets. That's what they're going to do. And Dhoni is going to play for another 10 years. Take it from me. There's no other way.
Okay,
gonna
so I've been wanting to ask about the impact sub for people who've watched this regularly this season, and I think that's PGK, Sandy G, and BC. How did it work, and does it actually make sense to introduce that to make ODIs more interesting? Because at the moment, ODIs that format itself is kind of dead. Is that the way? I mean, they tried super subs in ODIs many years back. That kind of failed. Is this the way to revitalize the game itself? And the third question, does it neutralize the toss and stuff for that as well?
I think the way it was
Yeah.
introduced made a lot of sense because you announce your teams post the toss. That's a very significant change, which makes a lot of sense. Because oftentimes tosses pretty much decide the match, which I think that one additional player at least gives you the bench strength to try and make a fist out of, in case the conditions are loaded too much in favor of whoever wins the toss. The other way it sort of eventually panned out, I think within the first 5-6 games, the teams had figured out their 12, not even their 11 anymore. So they would have their 12 in mind, and depending on whether they're batting first or bowling first, they would have that side sort of set up. There weren't any on-the-fly really impactful subs being made. It was all pretty much a part of the plan based on the conditions, based on what happens with the toss out. And to me, that basically, I think the only thing that really happens is that all-rounders will, no longer be in vogue going forward. But it's a good experiment. I think it was well executed. It's whether it's relevant to the ODI scene or not, I'm not 100% sure yet. I don't know how it will pan out.
So just to add one point, I think when you can substitute was also not limited. You can substitute any player once, any point of time in the match. So that was really important. I thought that, and teams, kind of bowled 4 overs of one bowler. Like Amit Mishra used to bowl 4 overs, sit out,
And
then
go.
get replaced with a batsman, and
Yeah,
then that batsman used to field also for a few overs and then come and bat. So those and I think, Hank, we had a discussion in one of our episodes on how 180 is now 200 is now the next 180 for IPL, and this is happening because of impact sub. We are able to get good batsmen inside. It may or may not be true, but it has some certain kind of impact, I think.
I mean, I can explain conceptually what they're trying, right? Forget about how they did it, but I'll tell you the direction that they're going into. So the direction that they're going into is for till now, cricket has always been played between two teams, and there is a prize that you get or an edge that you get if you are resourceful, which means that you have 11 players, and the minute you have 11 players and the more number of players who are able to play both a batting role and a bowling role, as well as the best batsmen and the best bowlers, those teams tend to get the edge. So technically that way you are basically the teams that have that resourcefulness get an edge. Now you're going away from resourcefulness to giving a slight bit of edge to depth. So in other words, what you're doing is, it's actually like for instance, if you look at, say, baseball essentially has taken this super sub thing to its extreme, to the point where only bowlers or pitchers pitch. So only specialized pitchers pitch and only specialized batters bat. That's it. You will never have a situation where a pitcher is now forced to come into bat because there is a collapse or something. That generally does not happen, because so they like this specialized versus specialized, because that spectacle is better than having someone non-specialized taking on someone specialized. So that is the direction that cricket is going. It's saying that it is better for us to see more of specialized batsmen facing off against specialized bowlers rather than having like this, your batting is up to 6, then after 7 or 8 the bowlers start. So if you can buttress that by one more. And similarly on the bowling side, if you have maybe 4 good bowlers, okay, no problem, you can take a 5th as well. So I think that is
BCK,
what
that's
they're
where I
trying
was
to
going
fix.
with the question, because the logical conclusion to this is to, you mentioned baseball. It is really interesting. The thing I was thinking of was actually American football.
American football.
You
American
have
football
an
is
offense
exactly
team and a
this.
defense team, right? So
Exactly.
is that where this is
Exactly.
going? I mean, logical conclusion is that you might have 5 impact players, and you have a team that bowls first and says, okay, 5 of you bowlers, bugger off. I'm going to get 5 batters instead, right? Is that the way this might go? Why stop at 1?
It's quite possible in the sense that I think if they're going that direction. I think the one thing that is in favor of that argument is that if you see this particular IPL, I think one of the reasons why people really enjoyed it and loved it is I don't think it's true that IPL people want a balance between bat and ball. Only bowlers and Ashwin's YouTube video wants a balance between bat and ball. All right. I don't think anyone wants a balance between bat and ball. They just want to come and see bowlers getting tonked like crazy. So shorter boundaries, great. Bigger sixes, great. Everything is fine. The more crazy it is, better. It's fine. So yeah, there is a case to be made that they might try to push that envelope. Maybe not now, maybe not tomorrow, but in like a few years, they may start pushing that envelope in that direction a little bit.
And
So
the TNPL
BCCI, the second, sorry, the subtext to BCCI is scope creep. So this will happen.
Yeah.
I was just adding that TNPL has already decided to have it in their tournament as well, and I think the answer to your ODI question is perhaps what you were yourself saying about increasing the number of players. The longer the format, or the longer the the more the number of overs in a particular format, the more impact subs you would want. Because right now what was happening was you couldn't get a better fielder in place of Amit Mishra till it's the right time for Amit Mishra to finish his overs.
Correct.
I mean, just because you want a better fielder, you can't have Amit Mishra bowling overs, the first 8 overs or something.
Correct.
So you're waiting for Amit Mishra to finish his quota by whatever, 13th, 14th, 15th over, and then you get a better fielder and who bats off. So I think in ODI cricket, perhaps you may need to have, I don't know, two people, someone like an Ishant, I mean, no longer playing ODI cricket, but he finishes off his quota within the first 30 maybe. And then he goes off and a better fielder comes, and then another bowler finishes it off. So I think fielding as a skill, while we all say that it's not so important in cricket and particularly in the shorter format, I think that skill is perhaps also going to be valued less and less. And I mean, this IPL anyway, we've seen, I don't know if that's true, but at least the names spring to mind, older players who are still doing very, very well for their teams, because fielding, you can always be subbed out by the impact sub.
Another temptation to go down this path is because, I mean, if you look at it structurally across all countries, this favors India a lot because it obviously prizes depth. So if you are, then the teams that have depth essentially start to have an edge over teams that have like combination players. So in that case, it actually favors India. I mean, like we say, right, if cricket was a team of 16 versus 16, nobody would ever beat India ever. So imagine if you had a pool of 16, you could pick any 11 anytime.
Yeah, New Zealand only has
ODIs.
16 people in it.
Exactly. So
the last one is going to be a sheep.
All right, fine.
Talking about, sorry. I was saying it's a good segue into the WTC teams because
that's what I was going to ask. I'm like, any final thoughts of the IPL before we?
I have one final comment, because they made another change with regards to the no ball rule, and the shitstorm that the umpires came up with regards to the no ball was just insane. No consistency. I can imagine him crouching. He's erect. He's not erect. I don't know what they're commenting on. It has so much
rock and roll.
Yeah, rock and roll, back and forth, up and down, whatever you want to call it. But the point is that all this while we were subject to such calls from the on-field umpires, and now suddenly, because they've added this particular referral into the game, all innings are lasting at least 2 hours. Like the Vitality Blast innings are done in 90 minutes tops, like nothing doing. They're just getting hammered. It's just over. Like, so there is, I don't know whether we are overcomplicating or overcooking the whole thing or not. Plus, we have CTI strategic timeout in the middle, which comes up randomly, which nobody knows when it will come. Even the umpires don't know. They are suddenly turning to camera and they're pointing to their watch. I mean, there are 2 slots which there are where you're supposed to have it, but again, precisely when is it sort of taken is not known.
I
I
think,
think the
Yeah,
IPL is
this time it even
Jared-
happened. Sorry,
Go on,
this
go
time
on,
it even
PG.
happened in the middle of the over, right?
Yeah.
Also, last point about the no ball third umpire thing. Yesterday, somebody had shared on Reddit. There was the entire innings of Kohli that he played at MCG against Pakistan in the last World Cup, and right at the very end, there is that no ball that is bowled by
Yeah.
Shadab. If you go back and watch that now, and you basically apply review on it, that is not crossing his way. You draw that line from that ball, you're like, this is not a no ball, it's done. So yeah, very difficult. Sorry.
But PGK,
Yeah, I
the
was-
number of analyses that have been done on that no ball itself, right? The trajectory and everything. There's that, and the previous one that really went bonkers. I mean, that went crazy was, I think, Sachin Tendulkar's LBW in the
the shoulder.
2011 Mohali
Ajmal.
semi-final.
Ajmal,
Yeah.
right.
Said Ajmal, exactly.
Like that.
Yes,
The number of videos that have watched of that, exactly, which say, oh, this is basically dodged, and it's a dodgy decision, basically. There have been as many videos that have analyzed it and proved that that's probably a wrong decision.
I have seen
Um,
Pakistani blogs where they've done a frame by frame of it with a conspiracy theory of how, at this point in time, see that person there with a handkerchief in white in the stadium in the ground, giving a signal back. That signal actually means. So I have seen a lot of really weird conspiracy theories there.
I think
but
it was
sorry.
just before the
Go for it.
IPL or during the IPL when Jared Kimber came up with this, very, very long, in-depth video about the no ball height ruling. This was, I think, South Africa were forced to play a few ODIs to qualify for the World Cup. And this one was against, I don't know, Netherlands or something.
Netherlands.
Yeah. In which I think Keshav Maharaj, there's an entire episode of a height no ball decision and then a run out which happens, and then I don't even remember the specifics of what happened on that ball, but he basically made the point that the waist is not like a uniform concept in humans, and I mean, where you tie your nada of the pajama, because this pajama cricket is like a thing that influences umpires at times. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just a very random rule that hasn't stood the test of time. But nobody, really got into it because it was not something that mattered. But now with the reviews coming into the picture, I mean, things are going to get really, really specific, and people are going to see all of these flaws very, very
it's a good
clearly.
segue. The waist should not matter. The BEDX matters.
Okay, on that note,
let's move on.
Yes.
finally, we are done with the IPL after like more than 2 months. We have enjoyed talking about it. Okay, some of us have enjoyed talking about it, others have ignored it. And now we move on to the big war, as somebody would say, because the real war is up ahead. And the real war right now, starting from June 7th, is the WTC final, India versus Australia, playing at the Oval. Friends, this is the preview. What do we think? Any thoughts? Maybe we should start with should we start with the team? Let's start with the team. At least that will be a good place where we can immediately start fighting. So great. Let's jump in straight away. All right. Favored 11s.
We're talking India, India 11, obviously, not the Australia
Yeah,
11.
Australia
We don't
11.
care about
Australia
Australia.
11.
Yeah.
Australia 11 is decided. Australia 11 is mostly, I think, between Hazelwood and Boland. There's nothing else to decide there.
That's it.
If you
I
really
think
think
RCB objects. RCB objects. What is this?
yeah.
You
India
know
11?
what? I think Ravi Shastri got it right. He basically says that it's a toss-up between Umesh Yadav and Ravi Ashwin, and depending on who will come in, it'll either be Ishan Kishan or Bharat.
KS Bharat.
And that's essentially it. And that's essentially the
Makeup.
The jigsaw
the
puzzle.
tour that,
Yeah.
that you need to do, the Rooks tour, right? So basically, if it is Ashwin that plays, then it'll be Bharat. If it is Umesh Yadav that plays, then it will be Ishan Kishan. In his books, Shami, Siraj, and BEDX are in. Oh, I'm sorry, we should clarify.
It's okay. I think long
First time listeners, in case you're wondering who is Shriman
Bedex.
Bedex. We will
It'll
let
be there
his
in the
biggest
show
fan.
notes.
No, we'll let his biggest fan clarify.
Yeah, so Bedex is Shardul Thakur. So in his books, Siraj, Shami, and Shardul Thakur are in. Of course, Jadeja is in for his batting, and of course. But that conundrum of who that last two players will be, who the wicketkeeper will be, and who the additional bowler will be, I think he's actually nailed it. He's actually nailed it quite well. And in his books, Rahane is in. I think there was a lot of doubt on that. Sandy G is shaking his head at this point in time. I think Rahane is in. So that's my
No,
that's my
I'm
piece.
shaking my head because I don't think there is any doubt that Rahane will be in, because now KL Rahul is also out. So there is, I mean, earlier we were thinking that KL Rahul might come at 5, 6, etc. But now KL Rahul is out, and
No, so Hank, what's your choice between those two combinations of wicketkeeper last bowler?
Not because PGK is hosting this, but I will definitely say Ashwin, and therefore Bharat.
Yeah, I think I would tend to agree with that, because the other reason why I would want to go for that is wicket keeping in England, whatever time of the year you play, is not easy. Last couple of tours, I think Rishabh
Even
Pant,
Dhoni
obviously.
had a dreadful time.
Yeah,
Rishabh
Dhoni
Pant did a
struggled a lot, yeah.
fantastic job, but the
Yeah.
ball wobbles after passing the batter, and I think it's going to be a low scoring affair, and hence, I mean, you don't want any random buys or dropped
No,
catches, and
absolutely
so
not. And
KS
Choppy, the
Bharat
other thing,
is.
Bissy might be able to confirm this. England has had an unusually good lead up to the summer.
Yeah.
Unusually because it's normally dreadful, cold, and raining and horrible.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's actually been warm and good. Maybe
It's
because
very
they had a
warm,
new
right?
king, coronation of the new king and all that, and everyone was bright and happy, and the sun was shining on
Oh my God.
on the British Empire and everything like that. I don't know, but
Yeah, I think the whole of May there was hardly any rainfall. I think we had about 1 or 2 days of rainfall at London. So that
Bissy,
is going to give you.
how far away
Sorry?
are you from the Oval where you were staying?
Takes me about 45 minutes by the tube.
Okay, not bad.
So so two reasons, right? The weather has been unusually warm, like Hank just said. Plus, there has been a lot of county action at the Oval already. So Surrey has played a lot of games over there. A lot of Division 2 games have already been played there. I don't think it will be the freshest wicket that you might see. Although, I mean, they've obviously stopped playing for the last almost 7-10 days right now.
And will they
It
have
won't
different patches? I mean, different pitches also.
Yeah,
One
they
of
will
them
have
would be a
different
fresh
pitches.
one.
That entire, probably, but I still think it's been worn out enough, because they would have played across the entire square during the
Correct.
run up to the
Yeah.
game so far.
many of the reports, many of the reports that I've read have said that this is more a July oval pitch than a June oval pitch.
Yeah. This is more towards the fag end of their summer, when pitches start tiring out and you actually have spin and bounce happening almost on day 2, day 3. Day 3 for
And
sure.
how has this fellow gone, Amar Vardi, for Surrey? How has he gone about it? Because I think that could provide a clue as to how Ashwin will go.
Again, I think the few games that the spinners have turned up for Surrey, they've not been particularly great as such. I mean, all the impact has been made by the likes of Abbott up top, but they do a good job of holding one end up effectively. That's the game plan that Surrey have, and then Ollie Pop goes bonkers and starts. I mean, you've seen how quickly he scored his double 100 against Ireland. So that's the set template that they follow. I think Ashwin definitely makes it as far as the team goes. It's a no-brainer for me. The real question is, who do we end up selecting as the keeper, which I'm sure is a question that people are toying with. And for the love of me, I can't imagine picking a keeper for their batting skills. It doesn't make sense, because keeper's primary job is to take catches, not give away buys to begin with. And I'm not sure Ishan Kishan is anywhere close to it.
I actually have a slightly different point of view, and I think I don't know, we were discussing it on our WhatsApp group PGKU also. I think for me, Umesh has to play given the conditions. I think Shami and Siraj need a support bowler in terms of Umesh. And the question is between Shardul and Ashwin for me. Because whether we want someone to support Jadeja with the spin, or we need another uh, tipsy topsy bowler who can get wickets.
Tipsy topsy.
Yeah, but
the other reference, the newest reference to dibbly dobbly.
yeah,
Tipsy
but
topsy.
I actually think that Umesh is a must for this game, is what I feel. Given the choices that we have, of course, if we had other choices, we would have gone with them. But I see him swinging the ball well in English conditions, and I think to support Siraj and Shami, we need Umesh, and maybe the decision is between Bedex and Ashwin, to be honest.
Oh, between PGK and Hank, essentially.
Cage match, cage match.
My internet on that. I mean,
Is my internet
I
patchy?
think we are losing.
No, Hank's
Hank
internet
is
is
gone.
Hank is gone. We have lost Hank to Duryodhan.
You?
patchy.
Hank, we couldn't hear you. Sorry.
continue.
I think
please.
while Hank comes back, maybe Chopra, you can go with your choice of the 11.
No, I think it's Ashwin and KSB for me. It's very clear that Ashwin needs to be there. I think in the last tour also, I think he did a fabulous job. I mean, that last day spell when New Zealand ended up winning the WTC final, his bowling was absolutely top class. If there were a few runs behind him, he would have done a fabulous job. I was perhaps very, very disappointed in him when he couldn't do the job for us in South Africa. But I think everything put together, Ashwin definitely has to play. And I'm not so sure about how much we should take into account his batting. But for me, just as a bowler, he has to play, and KSB just as a wicket keeper has to play. Although KSB's wicket keeping, there were a few flaws in the India series, but I still back him up to come good in the WTC final.
Over Ishan Kishan, any name.
No, over Ishan Kishan.
Yeah.
That's the comparison essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, I think from my standpoint, I feel that it will be Ashwin and Shardul, but for slightly different reasons. And I think number one, remember that Umesh is actually recovering from an injury. He didn't play for a big chunk of the IPL. And of course, people are saying that, oh, no, it's a hamstring. Don't worry, it's not that serious and he's still recovering. But I'm pretty sure that is there on the back of minds of a lot of players and the staff as well. I think that's one. So imagine putting in Umesh and then figuring out within like a few overs, for some reason it doesn't work, he's injured, then that's it. Then you have lost the game there. So I think that's the first consideration. And the second consideration is I went back and looked at Shardul's record at the Oval. I don't know if you remember this. The last time he played at the Oval in England, against England, he got 57 in the first innings and he got 60 in the second innings.
Yep.
And he also got, I think, wickets. I'm just going to check his wickets. Yeah, you're right. He got like 4 wickets, almost 3 wickets.
Yeah.
A wicket in the first innings and 2 wickets in the second innings. I feel like they'll lean towards Shardul and Ashwin. And my sense is that it'll also be a good decision because I have a feeling that our batting is going to really struggle. In general, whenever we have come and started to play test matches after the IPL, we have struggled like crazy. The first test generally has been a disaster. I think first innings has generally been disastrous. So having a slightly longer batting order may not be such a bad idea, I feel. So
anyone thinks sorry, go on, Hank.
By the way, guys,
Hank, we're losing you.
Your audio is still very bad.
Okay.
No, I think it's
Go
better
for it now. Now it's better.
Maybe you can switch off your camera and try.
I will. Is that PGK in that comment about post IPL batting and post IPL fatigue and everything like that. And this is essentially where I started disliking the IPL. 2007, I go back to 2000. IPL started 5 days after the World Cup win, and then 4 or 5 days after that, team was in West Indies. And then after that, an England series, which was disaster. Then an Australia series as well that followed, which was even worse. And there was fatigue that was written all over the place. There were injuries all over the place. That was the famous series, if I'm not mistaken. Chops will come.
We got the emotion, but we didn't get the words, Hank.
I hate IPL. Emotion.
I know. I mean, I think what he was referring to was the RP Singh recall from Miami or
Oh
wherever he
yeah,
was.
that
Exactly.
he
I
came
think,
back
yeah.
like
0404
Yeah.
ranking. Yeah.
His waist size was also 40 by that time. He came.
Yeah.
So it was fine.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
No,
I
I think
also
it's a
want to-
miracle we have
Disastrous.
turned up with a playing 11 which is not injured. And it's a first
That's
choice playing 11 as far as I understand. Apart
No,
from
no,
KL
no. It's
Rahul.
definitely not.
Apart
No,
from-
no.
no.
KL, Bumrah,
Eh,
Pant.
Boss.
Three.
Bumrah is
KL
not
was
injured
amazing.
because of the IPL.
Okay,
I'm
fair
saying
enough.
from the IPL.
Oh, fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
Oh, that way. Fair enough. Yeah.
That way,
Otherwise,
KL
Bumrah,
is the only.
KL, Pant, and this
Pant.
one, Iyer also. Shreyas Iyer.
Shreyas Iyer.
That's
Ha,
why.
which
That's
I
why
think
Rahane
is
came in.
which I think is a little welcome. So I don't have a problem with that. I mean, sounds really
Excuse me,
like
have you
cruel, but
forgotten?
sorry.
Have you forgotten Nutcut and all this?
Unadkat
Sorry,
is
who?
there.
Yeah,
Unadkat
no,
is
Unadkat
there.
is there.
Unadkat is out now. He got
He's
injured in
out.
the IPL and he's been
Yeah,
replaced.
yeah.
He's out.
He's
Oh,
not
Unadkat
gone
is
to
out.
England.
Yeah, he's out. He's out.
Oh, Unadkat
He
is
got
out.
injured
That's
in
correct.
the practice session or something. But one
Oh,
question I wanted to
right.
ask, since quite a few of you have watched the IPL, any chances of a surprise debut for Yashasvi or no chance?
No
Ooh,
chance.
interesting.
No, he's really
Doubt it.
doubt.
I mean, unless like
It's
Shubman
a
Gill
one-off.
falls in
The
a swimming
biggest-
pool or something.
The biggest thing is it's a one-off. If it was a series, maybe you can still think, yeah, I can claw back later in the series, so let's put him into the deep end directly. But because it's a one-off, it's your second attempt at the WTC. I think you play safe with what you know.
Yeah. And
So-
especially with Dravid and Rohit, they will play safe.
Yeah,
They are not going
That's their
to.
template.
Although a
That is
part of me
definitely-
wants to see a team with Sky and Ishan and Yashasvi Jaiswal all just suddenly, and just to see the Australian team. Okay, what just happened here? What's going on here?
Yeah,
But I don't think they'll do it. But yeah.
But I think Chops, Unadkat has gone to England.
Oh,
He has
he has,
traveled.
okay.
Yeah. And I saw
For
some
what?
videos where Umesh was bowling and Unadkat was in the background. So I think they with Kohli
He's
and
what-
all, he had gone.
He's going to assist Ashwin on his YouTube video.
That
That would be fun.
I-
If they don't pick
if-
Ashwin for 5 days, we'll be doing Adukalam here. That'll be fun.
But PGK, on your point, if Umesh is picked and he gets injured in the first innings, I think we should hit a ball on his head and concussion sub should be brought in.
For all
Yeah,
you know,
that's
Rohit
my-
might have IPL hangover. He'll be like, "Yeah, sub kar lenge na, koi problem nahi."
Yeah.
Idhar nahi hai impacts of.
Yeah, the only way Yashasvi plays is if Rohit gets injured between now and 7th. Something
Very
happens
likely.
in practice,
Oh.
which is, and we all know Rohit's like practically taped up together. So if he gets injured, then Yashasvi and Gill have to open. There is nobody else,
There's nobody else. Yeah.
nice.
which will
I
be fun in its own way.
hope he gets his chance soon, because I mean, it's been such a pleasure to watch him in first class cricket and follow his journey. And I mean, there's no one perhaps who deserves it more. So yeah, let's hope it happens sooner than later.
So I just
Question for
want
you
to
guys: how did Prithvi Shaw go in
Oh,
this year's IPL?
pretty.
Oh, dude.
The serious
pretty
question. It was a
the-
serious question.
I think one of the biggest disappointments of the IPL, we would
Yeah.
say.
Is it right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure,
yeah. Horrible. I mean,
No, and I think the bigger challenge is that I mean, at least in Mumbai cricket circles, they're now talking about him in the same breath, vein, whatever you want to call it, as
Kambli.
Vinod Kambli, which
Vinod
is,
Kambli.
I mean, not a name
Yeah.
you want to be associated with at all. And there's some controversy in some, I don't know, disco or something nightclub.
That was before
happened.
the IPL itself.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just like the kind of distraction you absolutely want to avoid if you're out of the team, but the spotlight is still on you. So, yeah, I mean, Shaw has fallen off the cliff in terms of performance, in terms of image, everything. And you really hope he can sort of go hide somewhere and practice for some time and then, get back to his best, because that the quality is there. It's just a question of when it's going to come out.
Yeah,
was
and
the
also
odd
unlike
It's funny. Sorry. I was
No,
just
there was
saying.
the odd, yeah. Go for
I
it.
was just saying it's funny that Chops is talking about Bombay Circle and how his name is being compared to Vinod Kamli. He was recently at IFA Awards and with his girlfriend, and people started talking that
Sure,
he's
Kamli.
not.
No, I'm serious. Hey, it's a serious
Prithvi Shaw,
question.
Prithvi
Oh,
Shaw
Prithvi Shaw. Okay.
with his
Huh.
girlfriend. So
Both
people
are
Intro
possible.
sorted. Intro sorted.
Oh, sorry, go on, please.
yeah. So people again got a chance and they started talking that he's
Dude, I think all
After
said
that.
and done, whatever controversy off the field, on the field, he is completely out of it.
That is
Even
what
when
my
he,
point is.
yeah,
Yes.
even on, like, when he's batting, he's clueless. Like, he's getting bowled through the gate, getting LBW,
Yeah.
whatever. The
Yeah.
50 that he scored, then he had all kinds of weird gestures to make. I don't know what this means till date. But
It's the
and
inverse
then when he comes,
Hasaranga.
and then when he turns up, he's dropped dollies when he was
Yeah.
fielding. Like, they're coming
Yeah.
at his face, and he has no clue where his hands are supposed to be. So
Yeah.
he's definitely nowhere close to like mentally being there.
Yeah, I think that's the main
Sorry,
thing you can
PCK,
do.
sorry.
Sorry, I was
Go
just saying
on.
that there are a bunch of stuff going on off the field, which of course is not great. But I feel like unlike the Kambli, even Kambli had technical weaknesses, but of course it was not in an era where everybody got to know about it as quickly. I think right now it's almost like an open secret. Everyone knows Prithvi Shaw's technical weaknesses, and everybody is out to exploit it. And you can see it is being exploited by, like in IPL, if all quote unquote random bowlers are exploiting it, then it's pretty common knowledge. It means that there is some
Yeah.
serious problems technically as well. Sorry, Mohan, you're saying.
I was just saying that there was a time when there was a huge bank of opening and number 3 batters for India. There were names still being touted today and being flouted today, and Prithvi Shaw was pretty much in every list of that sort. And that list had people like Ishwaran. That list had Ruturaj, of course, who I'm really, after X, Ruturaj is a person that I'm sort of pimping for. But there are so and definitely Prithvi Shaw was in there, but he seems to have completely gone off that list. And of course, Gill is like the Tendulkar of the previous era, has overtaken him completely in the rank in those stakes. When there were 2 players who were really good and people were looking at them, we have Gill that's taken over completely. And suddenly from one amazing season, you've had Jaiswal, who's overtaken even everyone else. So, yeah, good times from a batting perspective. Really look forward to that WTC and see how the
I think we should
bowling comes up.
speak about the Australian team as well a little bit, because
Should we?
yeah, we should. I mean,
Fine. Okay,
it's
let's talk about the
it's
Australian
not going to be just Ravichandran Ashwin running through the entire level. It's going to be difficult. I think for them, the entire Australian side makeup will depend largely on how much of an overhang do they have of the upcoming Ashes. Ashes has 5 tests squeezed into 7 weeks. It's a like a mind-bending schedule right now, which everyone's
Correct.
had to sign up for, because they need to do the 100 also towards the end of the English summer. So I don't know whether Josh Hazelwood is 100% fit. I'm assuming that whatever side strain he had was not just to get out of the RCB camp early, but his selection will depend, will largely decide what sort of side that they turn up. Otherwise, it's a very straightforward Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood, Lyon, and the rest of the batting. So, thoughts, folks?
For me, that is a big thing for Australia. Their focus for a long time in the 2000s was completely on that all-rounder player, and that all-rounder player and they tried people like Marcus North and all those other people, right?
Hmm.
That really stuffed them up in terms of the thinking. When you think of the good Australian teams, and then the not so good Australian teams that happened after, it is this obsession with the all-rounder that stuffed them up. Similarly, Bissy, you hit the nail on the head. This obsession with the Ashes is the only thing that might stuff them up this particular test. I can tell you this, over here, in all of the media that I'm reading and watching, the focus is not quite on the WTC. They're all talking about the Ashes and saying, oh, by the way, there is something that's happening before the Ashes. So it's that obsession with the Ashes that's going to stuff them up, because India's probably looking at this as, I think it was Sandiji that said it, or Bissy that said it. Off test, we're not going to try Jaiswal. We're not going to try any new things. It's not a 5-test series. It's a one-off thing. And I think Shastri mentions this as well in one of his sound bites. Whereas this focus, the obsession with the Ashes, is the one that might derail them. If it was a one-off test, would they go with the team that they will go with? I'm not sure.
No, I
there
think
has to be a lot of. Go for it, Chop.
No, I'm just saying that, the media and the Australian team itself could be two very, very different things. I know that the media obsession with the Ashes is almost legendary, more legendary than the cricket itself, perhaps. But I think the players are quite, clear about the opportunity that's there in front of them, in terms of not winning one of the two things, but both of them. There is a lot of regret that's there in the Australian ranks about the fact that in 2019 they couldn't do, they couldn't complete the win in the series, although they retained the Ashes, and so they have that at the back of their mind. And you have, the WTC final opportunity as well. And I think in Pat Cummins and even some of the, the other guys, they're quite a balanced lot. So I don't think in the minds of the players it's going to be something completely random. They're suddenly not going to play Michael Neser, for example, or they're not going to, give a go to, I don't know, Murphy or something. It's going to be pretty standard. They do see the opportunity. And I think with the Ashes schedule being, as BC has pointed out, 5 in 7, both of the Australian and the English teams will have to do a bit of chopping and rotation and all of those things, which I think they're pretty clear about right from the beginning. The English are now obviously making a habit of talking about every little thing. The Australians are perhaps flying under the radar a little bit. But I think the Australians are a pretty sorted lot when it comes to recognizing the WTC opportunity.
Chopra talking about chopping is very cute.
I was going to say that, Hank, what are you talking about Australians, distracted by Ashes? Then you'll talk about Indian team distracted by IPL, and this will go until 6 p.m.
That's somewhere there is an Australian podcast where they're like, Indians will be distracted.
This is known.
No, I actually think too. I think that I completely agree with Chops. I think the Australian team is going to come out all guns blazing. They want to win. They are here to win. I think there's a lot of regret about not trying to at least level the series in India. And they got much better by the end, but they just couldn't win. And I think Steve Smith, I feel whatever I see Steve Smith, I feel like Steve Smith is not playing for the Ashes. He's just playing for the WTC. The way he's training, the way they're talking about it in their camp.
He averages 97 at the Oval.
Wow.
God save him.
I feel like Steve Smith is going to be the person. He is just going to come out with a point to prove. He didn't score a lot during the India series as well. And it's kind of about time now. And we all know what Cam Green did in the IPL.
Yeah.
And Labuschagne, I feel like it's just going to be very difficult.
Hey, Labuschagne has been going brilliantly for
He's been going
Glamorgan.
brilliant
He's
in
been
the
amazing.
season.
Yeah.
And neither of you have taken any lessons from Bogle, sir. It is Labuschagne.
Labuschagne. Labuschagne.
I just hope that, like Labuschagne for Glamorgan, I think Pujara against lesser bowlers for Sussex has gone really well. So he can also make it count for India. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that premonition about Smith. I also think he's going to pick up a blinder in the slips at some stage during the match. I can just like see it happening, and it's going to be like a super important wicket. I just hope.
Didn't catch something brilliant just in the last week or so, right?
He did,
Yeah,
yeah.
the three
Yeah,
games
yeah.
he played against Sussex, one of them, I mean, he got a couple of
For
terrible
Sussex.
decisions, but
I-
for Sussex, yeah. For Sussex,
played
I
for
think
Sussex.
one of them had a brilliant catch in the slips, I think second slip
Saw
or
that.
something. So yeah.
I would just
In
like
any
to say
case,
that
we'll
I
have-
hope reverse jinx works.
Any predictions for the WTC?
All right. Yeah, that's the final part. Let's talk
here
about
we
it.
go.
Predictions. Instead of necessarily getting into the victory defeat, it'll be good if we can also talk about key players whom we think will shine or not shine. That will also be
Yeah.
interesting. Who wants to go first?
Who wants to go first?
Let me stick my oar into the in. I think it's a Kohli Smith show, and it's going to be.
Okay, we got
So-
Kohli versus Smith. The rest you'll have to type out.
Okay, so you're saying you couldn't hear me?
No, we just
Yeah,
heard
no.
Kohli
Yeah,
versus
yeah.
B. Smith.
Oh God.
Go for it.
So,
Try.
no,
again.
you go. You guys go.
No, try again. Let's see.
So
Yeah,
I'm
let's
saying
try.
it's a Kohli versus Smith, and the other player that steps up is going to be the one that's critical. And I think Labuschagne is the one that's going to do it for Australia. So it's Kohli versus Smith, and they both are going to shine. I think it's Labuschagne who's going to shine more for Australia and win it for them.
Okay.
I think on the
Others?
Australian side, I'm going to pick Mitch Stark and I'm going to pick Smith as the two key players. And on the Indian side, I think it's going to be Rohit who's going to do well. I think it's about time his luck is going to come back, and he did really well in the last series against England as well. And I think Siraj is going to be again very, very good.
Good call.
But I think Australia is going to win it by, let's say, 4 wickets in a low scoring match.
Hmm.
Nice.
I'll pick Smith and Hazelwood because Hazelwood has been conserving himself. Selfish fellow.
Oh, I
and-
have
and
a side
Smith-
strain. Okay. You can't
I need to go home. I can't get it scanned in Bangalore because no.
yeah,
X-ray.
it
I
doesn't
will go
show
to
up in scans, but it's there. Trust me.
it's there. I'll go to England. They have better X-rays. Anyway, and Smith has an insane average at Oval. I think he'll definitely score. It's difficult to keep him quiet. On the bowling front, I just think Shami has been bowling like a dream, like absolute dream. Whether that translates into form with the Duke's ball or not is the only question that I would be holding against him. But I mean, going by his past form, at least that seam will be upright. He'll get it. Just needs to get it landing at the right spot, and we'll be in business. And I'm going to go with IPL recency because confidence is a funny thing. I think Shubman Gill will do because he's been in just insane form. And I know the formats are different, the conditions will be different, the tempo at which he needs to bat needs to be different, but it's just majorly about confidence. And if he just continues to carry that confidence forward right at the top, nothing like it. And I think India will. I don't know how,
Oh,
but
nice.
I think India will.
Oh,
So-
nice. Okay.
So the recently, I mean, not recently, in April, they had a, one of the episodes we discussed on whether CSK will make it or not. And I really wanted CSK to make it to the qualifiers, and I said no, they will not, because I wanted to reverse jinx. So I'm saying now, and it worked. They won the tournament. So now I'm saying that India will lose one-sided. It will be either be an innings defeat or 6 wickets defeat. But I feel that Siraj will be one of the bowlers to look out for. Hazelwood. I think recently you were talking about mixed, kind of signals from him. He recently was asked whether he'll be playing Ashes WTC. He just said it's tough, nothing else. So I don't know about Hazelwood, but I think Green might, as you said, Bissy, IPL form, Green might be an important player maybe. And I think
Hmm.
our top order will fail, and then Jadeja will come and hit a 85 or 80, 85.
Along with Shardul.
Hey, you don't want that to
Yeah.
happen though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I actually agree with Sandy on one key aspect, which is I'm pretty sure India's top order is going to fail. At least in the first innings, they're going to fail. And the person who's going to rescue them is a name that none of you have said. It's going to be Rahane.
Ravichandran
This is
Ashwin. Oh,
No, this
Rahane.
is Rahane.
Oh,
This is Rahane's test. This is Rahane's test. Rahane is going to come. And Rahane is going to basically hold India. I don't think it'll be like a massive hold, but he'll hold India for a while. I think from the bowling side, yeah, I agree. I think Shami and Siraj, I mean, as much as I would like Ashwin and all to do well, I think the chances of it are slim. Maybe in the second innings, if he has a little bit of a cushion, fourth day, fifth day, he may be able to make an impact. But I'm expecting him to get tonked like crazy in the first couple of days by Smith, who is just waiting. He's been waiting for this day for a long time. So I feel like now Smith is going to unleash everything on him. On the Australian side, I'm trying to think. I feel like there is this shit. I'm forgetting the name.
Travis
Who's the
Head?
Travis Head. Travis Head, I feel, is going to like he is someone whom by the end of the India tour as well also started to show some promise. So I feel like Travis Head is going to be that really annoying second innings score that people put up. I feel like he's going to do that, and Cam Green as well. So I feel like these are the main people who are going to come into play.
Hey,
And
Warner, we've forgotten about Warner also. Like, it's almost going to be a poetic turn of events. If he
we
does
forgot
good.
about Warner, but I don't see Warner really dominating Shami and Siraj both innings. I don't see it happening. I think that its chances are lesser of that happening. But who knows? Anything is possible. And yeah, as much as I would like India to win, I'm pretty sure that I feel like Australia will win. I don't think it'll be like an abject defeat. I don't think it'll be like a close win. I think it'll just be very similar to last year's WTC, where comfortable win kind of a situation. And I look forward to Rohit at the press conference. Oh, something like that happened. Yaar, kya? Anyway, sorry, go on. Anyone else?
Ashes dekho yaar, kya hai? Mere ko kya
Aisha
पूछ
dekho
रहा है?
yaar, kya
Ashes
hai?
dekho yaar,
Okay.
kya hai?
Yes. All right. Are we done? Are we done? Are we done?
Can we
Jersey thoughts.
Jersey
Jersey thoughts. Why don't you set
And
it up?
do we want to talk about wrestlers' support from 1983 team or no? And then going back, but
I don't
Okay,
know.
but
I mean,
let's-
it's yeah. Let's do one of those things at least. I think the wrestling thing is. I mean, you expect it and still breaks your heart. It's just one of those things where at one end you had as I said on the group as well, Kapil and Sunil Gavaskar coming together and putting out something which I mean, I can't deny requires a lot of courage in the times that we are in. And then I mean the whole horror of Roger Binney distancing himself from the whole thing. I mean, God, it's just I mean, complete heartbreak. And but you can't expect much
expected.
from people who are in positions of influence, power, under the spotlight to really stick their neck out and stand up for these issues. I mean, I don't know how the others did it. Maybe finally Gavaskar has decided he has enough to go for I don't know, some 2-3 generations more or whatever. But it's just not something palatable at all.
But it just goes to show that under normal circumstances, if he wasn't the president, and I'm sticking my neck out here, Roger Binney would have signed up to this, right? But then the BCCI is essentially an extension of the government. It's a part of the propaganda machinery, right? And so it cannot be seen to be in any way to be aligning itself to something which is not part of the propaganda. So it's really sad to see a further extension of that machinery that we've seen played out so many times.
I don't think Roger Binney has ever said anything of note ever. Like
this is the only thing that he said something of note.
Yeah.
And this rebuttal comes like as soon as like within seconds. Yeah, the rebuttal comes within seconds of the whatever Kirti Azad, the presser or whatever it is.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah,
think
it's expected.
To some extent, I understand when we are saying that cricketers can't come out and say something against government or whatever the protest in favor of the protest. But my point is that it's not that they came out immediately. I mean, wrestlers have been saying that none of the cricketers are supporting us. Then one statement came from Irfan Pathan somewhere, and all the statements that have been coming out aren't here or there. To be frank, they are just saying that just resolve the issue, etc. So I mean, that is also some some extent of support, but I don't think that there is really any kind of pain that they are going through seeing the wrestlers. They are just putting it out to I mean, probably masking their hatred for what is happening, but they're not doing a very good job at it, is what I feel.
Yeah. I mean, nothing to add. It's just a terrible series of events. And I think, like I've said many times, whoever comes out and says something, anything in whatever limited form, it's fine, man. It's okay.
Yeah.
And speaking of this series of terrible events, we had drones launching the Team India jerseys. Or not,
Oh.
I have no idea. I still don't know whether
Can
it was
someone
actually
set
the
it up
drone
and
or-
explain what's going on with the Team India jersey?
Sorry, what? Drones? What?
Can you send? I have not seen the drone thing.
Okay, wait,
So
set it up.
I'll
Tell
give
us
you-
what happened.
I'll set it up. So on the group, I think it was Nitin who posted. It's a video basically is from the Mumbai local, looking towards
Oh,
Wankhede.
yeah, I saw that. Huh.
Right. And it is no, I was confused. I thought there's no way, and it was huge. There were like Titanic structures of the Team India jersey which were floating around and flapping inside Wankhede, and all three.
Wow.
I have no idea what is going on. So I'm thinking Nitin is like, oh great, and Varun Murli is like, yeah, I'm going that side and I will go check it out. And I'm totally confused. So then I start digging further. I look at the Adidas Twitter handle, and they are showing just clearly an animation back then of the overview of the Wankhede with 3 drones pulling up the Team India jersey and unveiling. So I had absolutely no idea whether there were actually drones present at the Wankhede showing giant-sized Team India jerseys or not. But
That
obviously
seems
they were.
nice, right? I mean, if you're going to have a
If it is true, we don't even know if it happened. We're just seeing some video somewhere, and now anyone could have generated it. Midjourney could have generated something. Some idiot would have put it online, and look how India has changed. So anything is possible. We don't know.
But
Uh,
on the jerseys, I really like the test team jersey.
Yeah.
There is some change. I think there is some blue stripes that have
Striping.
come in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
correct.
it looks
Yeah, it
good.
no longer
So-
looks like Byju's is playing Australia. So that's in a way good. Okay.
yeah, but I think last time also the ICC events have this funda, no, where you can't have
Yeah.
whatever
The main sponsor on it.
main sponsor on the center of the
Yeah.
t-shirt or whatever. So I think last time also when India played the WTC final, it was like India at the center, which is going to be the case even now. And I think the jerseys look fabulous. The Adidas stripes, even in football jerseys, whenever they've sponsored specific football teams, have
Look
made
great.
for a very nice looking jersey. So yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to how it actually turns up on the day of the test.
Wonderful. Cool. Anything else? Anything else?
Do you want to
Okay.
talk about Rayudu?
No.
I mean,
What happened to Rayudu? Oh, he retired. Yeah.
Sorry.
Dhoni said a very interesting thing during his post-match interview, though. He's like, with Raidu in your team, I cannot win fair play award. I don't see Raidu doing anything wrong. What is he on about?
I mean, with Raidu in your team, the only thing that happens is you have to walk
Win
out
the
of
IPL.
hotels.
Wait,
Okay.
so
and win the IPL.
So
Okay.
after his retirement, are we going to talk about how many times he has fought with the umpire, with his own teammates, with team?
Did it happen in this IPL also? I don't remember. Obviously, I haven't seen that.
I don't know if it happened in this IPL, but
No, he's
No, I
generally
mean-
had a reputation of being a hothead and picking fights
Okay.
with people.
Yeah,
and all
no,
that.
but I think
But
what
the
also
same thing
happened
applies
is,
to Dhoni. remember, Dhoni's the one who walked into the field. Dhoni's the one who's also fighting. Dhoni's the one who held up play this time for like 5 minutes because Patirana could.
Correct.
So come on, dude.
Patirana
please.
has to ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Kettle
and
calling
also, I
the-
mean, in the
no,
case of
let-
Raidu, I think the one big thing at the start of his career was can't remember the name of the Hyderabad offie whose son just got too many chances and I think was the captain of the team without deserving to be. So I don't know if it was Hyderabad or Andhra Pradesh.
Andhra.
Andhra, right? I mean, one
Yeah,
of
I
the
think
two
it's Venkat.
where he was discriminated against and I mean that nepotism should never have happened. The guy who was the son of the former cricketer wasn't good enough at all. But I mean, domestic cricket has a lot of other stuff going on which perhaps never comes to the limelight. And I don't know if he's done more things after that, etc. Hot-headed guy image, etc. But definitely at the start of his career, he was perhaps on the right side of things, and he was stuffed up by that.
Can I buy into this, Choppy? I mean, I think you've got it absolutely right. But here's a player, in my view, who has made Gambhir look good in terms of shoulder, right? No, very, very talented guy, very extremely talented guy, and probably felt that he did not get the kind of recognition that he deserved. Right from the beginning, almost till the very end, right? So he's been kind of bitter. He's been kind of obsessed with his own sense of how good he is, and not being given the kind of recognition that he deserves. And then this is pretty much the Gambhir playbook, completely written out, but magnified. Because in the middle, don't forget, he went out to the ICL and everything like that as well, right? Simply because he felt that he was not getting the kind of recognition that he should have got, and probably he should have got it.
Yeah,
let's not forget 3D in all of this, right? There was 3D that happened as well. So here's a player that's been in the eyes of many people discriminated against, but in his own eyes magnified many times over. And that's essentially what we have. I think it's not Ambati Raidu but embattled Raidu.
Wow. Oh.
I think
On
that's a
that
great place
poetic
to-
note.
Yes, on that poetic note, I think we should end it there. This has been a wonderful episode, and I think the next time we are back, we will probably be in the middle or at the end of the WTC. One of the two will happen, I think.
Middle.
Middle,
Saturday and
please,
Sunday.
middle.
4
Days
days.
4 and 5.
Yeah, so basically people will be coming and abusing Rohit Sharma. So anyway, but that being said, maybe
If we
we'll do the next
survive
episode.
day 3.
If we survive,
We
day
will
three,
have
of course,
we will have updates from the ground as well. Tariq, myself, I think
Oh,
Murli,
yes.
Sadgopan.
That's
all of
correct.
us are
There are
gonna-
four or five people who are going to be at the stadium itself. Of course, you're going to be there, busy. I know Rachna is going to be there. Murli is also going to be there, and Tariq is
Brother T.
as well. Brother T, Tariq is also going to be there. I think next episode, if all goes well, we'll hope to have all four of you on this episode, and you should talk about what it was like experiencing Steve Smith's double century in the ground.
And Ravichandran Ashwin running him out as a non-striker. Come on.
Oh,
That is
Wow.
bonkers.
That is the only way you can get him out. All right. This has been a wonderful episode. Thanks a lot. And we'll see you again next week. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about the Friendliest Cricket Podcast, especially your Australian friends. And we will catch up next week. All right. See you. Bye.
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 Bye.